idolatrous religion, and told his people to come out of it. And he said this in Ezekiel: "You set a mark on those who cry over the abominations that this religion created, and to slay all those who participated in it." So I mean, he was extremely angry about this. We read this in Ezekiel 9, verses 4 through 6. Let's read that. Ezekiel 9, starting in verse 4. "And the Lord said to him, Go through in the midst of the city, in the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark on the foreheads of the men who are groaning and mourning because of all the abominations that are done in her midst." In verse 5, "And he said to those in my hearing, Go through the city after him, and slaughter. Let not your eyes spare, nor have pity." And then in verse 6, "Fully destroy old men, young men, and virgins, and little children, and women, but do not come near any man on whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary." And they began with the old men who were before the temple. You know, sometimes I think we read things like this: well, how could God feel this way? Where is God's love? Well, the thing is, we gotta remember, He's counting on the second resurrection. He knows that everybody is going to get another chance. And that shows the love that He has for all of us. Not just for us, He's calling at this time, but for all mankind. So, to know and understand why God hated this religion so much, we are studying it from its origin in Genesis all the way until this present time. You know, in Genesis we learn that from Noah and his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the world was repopulated. You know, remember, God destroyed the earth's population because it had become so corrupt. In Genesis it says that Noah was righteous. But remember, it doesn't say that his sons were. Noah had sons that are all grown up in a very evil society, just like our children growing up in today's society. With this in mind, let's remember, Ham begat Cush, and Cush begat Nimrod. Nimrod was the mighty hunter against God, who created the Tower of Babel. And Nimrod was worshipped as Baal, the sun god. And Nimrod, along with his evil wife Semiramis, started the Babylonian religion. And this was a religion that was based on the worship of the sun and the moon and all kinds of animals and deviant sexual practices and objects. You know, after Nimrod's death, Semiramis gave birth to an illegitimate son, whose name Tammuz. And she claimed that this child was Nimrod reborn. Thus, we have the Egyptian Trinity: Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz. Now, Semiramis was often pictured as a goddess, with a sun within a crescent moon headdress. And Tammuz is pictured and worshipped, as you see here, as a golden calf. Semiramis and Tammuz were the original mother-child idol worship, which is still being practiced in the Roman religion today. Various objects were venerated, including the obelisk, and in many forms, which was the symbol of phallic worship. And the steeple is just another form, really, of an obelisk. You know, even the windows on many of today's worldly churches are in the shape of an obelisk. Just look at that. Look at not only the windows and the shape of the windows, but also look at the crosses. Look at the steeples. All and every single one of these coming out of paganism. And remember this: various objects were venerated, including the obelisk in many forms, which is the symbol of phallic worship. The steeple is just another form of the obelisk. Even the windows on many of those days churches are in the shape of that obelisk, as seen here. Now the cross represented T for Tammuz and predates Christ by centuries. Most people have no idea about this. The sun disk were worshipped in the form of halos, wafers, and idols. And now, I want you to take note of this. The fish head mitred, worn by the head of the Roman Church today, is actually the same headdress worn by Dagon, the ancient fish god. Look at that. You can see it is identical. Let's read Revelation 17, 4, 5 again. Verse 4. And the woman was clothed in purple and scarlet, and it was adorned with gold and pearls and precious stones. And she had a golden cup in her hand, filled with abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. And verse 5. And across her forehead a name was written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of the harlots and of the abominations of the earth. And now I want you to notice the colors this idolatrous woman wears. And think to yourself, is there anywhere today where we see this in a religious instance? Yes, there is. With this background in mind, we're going to look into the so-called religious holidays that are still being celebrated today and see where they begin. Let's start now with Babylon Mystery Religion. Part 2. Many of the world's traditional religious holidays are directly borrowed from paganism and are combined with the Bible because they involve idolatrous practices and concepts. These are all part of the ancient Babylonian mystery religion we talked about last time. And just as an idol gives a false concept to God and his plan, so do these so-called religious holidays and symbols. Now, the Church of Rome believed that even though a rite or a custom was originally paganistic, that if it is applied to Christ, then it is acceptable to God, even though it has no scriptural basis. But I tell you, this is mere human reasoning, a reasoning that is contrary to the written word of God, completely contrary to the word of God. Let's see what God says about borrowing these heathen practices and making them part of worship to Him. Let's read Deuteronomy chapter 12, verses 29 through 32. Starting in verse 29. When the Lord your God shall cut off the nations before you, where you go to possess them, and you take their place, and you dwell in their land, take heed to yourself that you do not become ensnared by following them after they are destroyed from before you, and that you do not ask about their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods, that I may do likewise? Verse 31. You shall not do so to the Lord our God, for every abomination to the Lord which he hates, they have done to their gods. Even their sons and their daughters they have burned in the fire to their gods. Verse 32. Whatsoever thing that I command you, be careful to do it. You shall not add to it, nor take away from it. So let's see what some of these pagan religious holidays are, and their respective festivities and symbols, and understand why God hated them so. You will recognize all of the most, because you see they are still being practiced today. They have just been disguised as Christians, but they are pagan to the core. We need to know what they are, what they mean, so we can avoid them and be able later to teach others to do the same. Let's start with Christmas. You know, here we are. We're talking before services. We're already hearing the Christmas songs, aren't we? And some of them, they sound so righteous stuff. Away in a manger, fit for a bed, right? And then, of course, it's sort of with here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus. So the question is this really have anything to do with Christ our Savior? You know, the traditional Christmas tree, the Yule log, the holly wreath, the kissing under the mistletoe, and Santa Claus who lives at the North Pole, Did you know all of these were taken from heathens and were used in pagan religious origins to the sun god? And later, the church at Rome Christianized many of these pagan practices and symbols in order to bring these people into the church. Even the name Christmas means Mass of Christ. The Mass was what the Roman Church called the Sunday worship service. So Christmas is a totally Roman Church day and symbolism. Now let's start with the Saturnalia and the Yule log. You know, the observance of Christmas as the birthday of the Son of God is pagan, an idolatrous festival borrowed directly from heathenism. God nowhere commanded the observance of Christmas, and it was never observed by the original apostles or the immediate followers of the true Church of God. In fact, we can go to any encyclopedia or Bible dictionary and verify the fact that Christ was not born anywhere near the time of December 25th. And even if he were, we are nowhere commanded to observe the date of his birth. No, but rather the time of his death, commemorable by the Passover. The December 25th date was taken from an idolatrous pagan festival of sun worship. Now, the question is, just how did the pagans come up with December 25th date? Have you ever wondered about that? The 25th was the birthday of Nimrod and Tammuz, which happened to be the first day of the year when the sun supposedly was reborn. And this occurred during the dead of winter, when the daylight was the shortest around December 25th, on the winter solstice or Saturnalia. The ancient Chaldeans called the celebration Yule Day, which literally means the day of the infant. And this was talking about not Christ, this was talking about Tammuz, the son of the sun god, who would come back and save the world from darkness. They believed that this caused the days to start growing longer. This was all part of the pagan sun worship. The feast or festival of Saturnalia lasted for guess how many days? 12 days. And therefore, what do we have now? The 12 days of Christmas, don't we? But we see now where it originally come from. The Associate Church later chose December 25th for Christ's birthday. The Son of God instead of the Sun God, so that the pagans would do what they would accept it, just as they had changed the Sabbath to Sunday for the very same reason. Now, the Yule log was the log that the pagans burned in their hearts for the 12 days before the Saturnalia festival. In Scandinavia, it was originally dedicated to their fertility gods, Astarte or Semiramis, for bringing forth their savior Tammuz. They would sacrifice animals and slaves into the fire each night. And this was supposed to keep evil spirits away. And this is really the origin of the traditional Yule log. Now, how did we ever get into Santa Claus and his helpers? Along with the celebration of the Saturnalia, the Scandinavians also worshipped Odin, who was the god of intoxicating drinks and ecstasy, as well as the god of death. And he became the most popular god of that time. Odin, or Woden, was the god of wisdom, magic, and occult, and knowledge, poetry, and war. His name means the inspired one. Odin later became the very first Santa Claus. You know, Odin was a tall old man. He had a long white beard, and he carried a spear, or crosier. He traveled around the world on a white horse that had 8 legs. 8 legs, of course, being the number of transportation. And this is where the 8 reindeer came from. You know, no, Rudolph was added later. So isn't it interesting that the glorified Christ, visualized in Revelation, has white hair, he rides a white horse. Let's read this in Revelation 1, verses 13 through 16. to see his glorified appearance, chapter 13. And in the midst of the seven lampstands, one like the Son of Man, clothed in a garment reaching to the feet, and girded about the chest with a golden breastplate. Verse 14. And his head and hair were like white wool, white as snow. And his eyes were like a flame of fire. Verse 15. And his feet were like fine brass, as if they glowed in a furnace, and his voice was like the sound of many waters. And verse 16. And in his right hand he had 7 stars, and a sharp two-edged sword went out of his mouth, and his countenance was as the sun shining in full power. Now let's read Revelation 19, verses 11 through 16, starting in verse 11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he who sat on it is called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he does judge and make war. Verse 12, and his eyes were like a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no one knows except him. Verse 13, and he was clothed with a garment dipped in blood. Think about the color red now. And his name is the Word of God. Verse 14, and the armies in heaven were following him on white horses, and they were clothed in fine linen, white and pure. And verse 15, and out of his mouth goes a sharp sword, that with it he might smite the nations, and he shall shepherd them with an iron rod. And he treads the winepresses of the fury and the wrath of the Almighty God. And verse 16, and on his garment and on his thigh has a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Now, let's think about this. Satan, the great deceiver and counterfeiter, has made sure there is a substitute that looks very similar to the glorified Christ. It is all part of his strategy to destroy God's plan and to deceive people and keep them from worshiping the true God. And how many people do we have out today going to Sunday school, people in church, celebrating Christmas in their churches, thinking they're pleasing God, and really they're just totally deceived by Satan. That's why they'll have a second chance and a second resurrection. But we must not be drawn into that. We must not allow ourselves to be deceived. Because this is our one and only church. We need to remember it. In almost every version of Claus, he carried behind him a dark helper. His helper's name was Krampus. According to the legend, Krampus accompanied Claus during the Christmas season, warning and punishing bad children, while Claus gave gifts to good children. Krampus wore bells to let the children know he was coming. Ever realize this is the origin of Jingle Bells? Now, let's picture this. Look at this picture for a moment. First, notice the mitre with the cross on it. Very interesting, isn't it? Then, to Krampus, and look how he looks. Satan, the devil himself. And now, take another look. Look at the children. What are the children doing? The children are actually worshiping Satan. Yes, Satan is a great deceiver. Claus became St. Nicholas, and Krampus and his demons later became as Satan elves. These celebrations are still being carried on today in Germany, in Hungary, and in Italy, and other countries. Now, by the 1500s, in Holland, Claus became known as Sinterklaas, a kind, a wise old man with a white beard, white dress, a red cloak, and a cross, and he was riding disguised on his white horse, accompanied by his blackjacks, Krampus and his demons, leaving gifts for people under the sacred fir tree. He would visit on the birthday in December and give gifts. And if you had been good, you got the gift. But if you had been bad, his blackjacks would beat you. Is this a coincidence? Or is this part of Satan's plan? No question. It's Satan's plan. Again, notice the cross and the mitre. Interesting, isn't it? In the book, History of the Hobgoblin, author Alan W. Wright revealed that Santa Claus was a nickname for the devil, and his signature laugh was actually ho, ho, ho. Another coincidence? I don't think so. You know, it's interesting to know that in the American colony, early American colony, okay, did you know Christmas was actually forbidden? Not only forbidden, it was actually outlawed. On May 11, 1659, records from the court of the Massachusetts Bay Colony state this: to the great dishonor of God and offense of others, it is therefore ordered by the court and the authority thereof, that whosoever shall be found observing any such day as Christmas or the like, either by forbearing of labor, feasting, or any other way, upon such account as aforementioned said, every such person or offering shall pay for every such offense 5 shillings as a fine to the county. So Christmas was not legalized in the county until actually 1836, when Alabama actually became the first state to do so. And then it was followed by Louisiana and Arkansas in 1838. And this was because our founders, the founders of our country, knew and understood exactly where all these pagan Christmas things were coming from, and they wanted no part of it, and they knew God wanted no part. But it was only until they started to die off that the young people were able to start falling into Satan's ways. And we see it actually was brought in the country in the 1700s, but it took quite a while to finally get it legalized. A Dutchman immigrated to North America and brought the Santa Claus with him. In the English dialect, it was pronounced Santa Claus, as we know it today. The Oxford English Dictionary definition of the devil is: he is called Satan, Lucifer, Beelzebub, and in popular rustic speech is called Omen. Gradually, this pagan custom of Santa Claus and Christmas became accepted in the New World. Notice here, notice the cross, okay? Notice the mitre. Wow. And also notice the tremendous white beard and the red clothing, okay? Now, in 1930, a designer for the Coca-Cola Company was trying to get people to buy more of their drink during the winter. So what did they do? They took their company colors of red and white and borrowed the Santa Claus store, changed a few things, and out came the modern Santa Claus, complete with 8 reindeer and the elves. Now, the custom of Santa entering a new house through the chimney came from the old Norseland. The Norsemen actually believed that the goddess of Hathor appeared in the fireplaces and brought good luck to the home. Druid homeowners would leave a treat consisting of milk and pastries to appease the goddess that came down through their chimneys into their fireplace. So the truth is, we Americans did not make up the custom of leaving goodies for Santa. No. How has Satan tried to make? How has Satan tried to make Santa like the Almighty God? Let's think about that for a moment. First, Santa has no beginning or ending, does he? And Santa has been an eternal spirit. He's always been, always will be, right? And he has a spirit. What is that spirit? The spirit of Christmas. And you don't think about it. Santa is all knowing, isn't he? He's all well. Where do you get that? Just think of the song, right? Here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus. Write down Santa Claus' name. He knows when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. And be good for goodness sake. And not only that, but he's making a list. He writes it down. Just think about that. That's what we're teaching our little children. Santa is just like God in their minds. His hair is white as snow. But you know the thing about it, there are some differences. And they might not seem that big. When you think about it, there are big differences. Santa travels during the night, in the darkness. Jesus traveled during the day. Right. Santa wants to give you everything your flesh desires, and you just think about the things your flesh desires, right? With whom many people have trouble today. But God wants to give you what you need. Santa wants to enter your house through the chimney into the fireplace. God does not enter through a fire. Satan or Santa has a mystical tree, the evergreen or fir tree. You know, stop and think about it. God had a tree of life in the Garden of Eden. The main symbol of the mystical God called Odin, who had godlike power, was the eternal fir tree. The main symbol of the true God. From the Garden of Eden in the book of Genesis to the New Jerusalem in Revelation is the tree of life. And that brings us to the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree. The Christmas tree traditionally was an evergreen or fir tree. Fir trees have been worshipped by virtually every pagan culture in the world and is a major symbol of the sun god and fertility. Fir trees replaced the obelisk because they were said to be magical since they remained green all year long. And it was decorated in some churches with fruit and nuts, which symbolized new life. Others used 12 candles to decorate to honor their sun god, while some used silver and gold balls, which represented the sun as well as the male sex organ. Now in Jeremiah 10, 1 through 4, this not only describes the tree adorned with gold and silver, but tells us exactly how God feels about it. Let's read that. Jeremiah 10, 1 through 4. Verse 1. Hear the word which the Lord speaks to you, O house of Israel. Verse 2. Thus says the Lord. Do not learn the way of the heathen, and do not be terrified by the signs of the heavens, for the nations are terrified at them. Verse 3. For the customs of the people are vain, for one cuts a tree out of the forest with the axe, and the work of the hands of the workmen. For they adorn it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and hammers, so that it will not move. And you know, I can't help but think back when I was a little kid. I still remember my granddad, they had a big farmhouse, and it had a huge high ceiling. And my granddad would go out and he would chop down the biggest tree he could find. And he would have a Christmas tree that always reached the ceiling. And he would have to go in, he would hammer it into the wall with nails, and then he'd run a wire from those nails around the tree to keep it from tipping over. Exactly what is being described here in Jeremiah. So when we mention the Christmas tree, we need to remember that it was an old Babylonian fable. Semiramis, the mother of Tammuz, claimed that overnight an evergreen tree sprang up from a dead tree stump. The dead stump supposedly symbolized her dead husband Nimrod, the sun god Orbe. The new evergreen tree was the sign that Nimrod had come to life again in the person of Tammuz. Now, this belief spread and developed so that the various nations all have their legends about sacred trees. Among the Druids, the oak was sacred. Among the Egyptians, it was the palm. In Rome, it was the fir tree, which was decorated with red berries during the Saturnalia festival. Among the Scandinavians, the fir tree was sacred to their god Odin, or Woden. This god was believed to bestow special gifts to those who honored him by approaching his sacred fir tree. The tree was decorated with gilded nuts and balls, all part of the sun fertility worship. Notice the picture of this fir tree here. Notice the candle. Notice the light. Notice the silver and gold and the ball. And now this brings us to another 8-pointed star. You know, we know that we have an 8-pointed star seen on top of the Christmas tree back to the White House. But did you know, there's pagan significance to this 8-pointed star. It's seen on the top of the Christmas tree, on items, statues, coins, etc. In Uri, an ancient Sumerian city in southern Iraq, there are 3,000-year-old tablets which specify the celestial identity of Escher or Semiramis as an 8-pointed star. So the 8-pointed star that adorns the White House Christmas tree is not the Star of Bethlehem. It represents the Babylonian goddess Semiramis. Evidence of pagan religious worship is all around us in almost everything we see. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the Vatican photo plan here. See the star? Look at St. Peter's Square. Look at the White House Christmas tree. The 8-pointed star. The Semiramis is everywhere. And that leads us to pine cones. You know, one of the common points of pagan worship is their common symbol for eternal life. The evergreen, both bush and tree. Further, the pine cone is revered because it is the fruit or the result of the evergreen. And since all people, all ages, all over the world wish to live forever, the evergreen and the pine cone have been powerful and ancient symbols of eternal life. The pine cones are found on many ancient artifacts. There is a pine cone on the staff that the Roman religious leader carried, and on some of the sun items found in Rome. The largest statue of a pine cone can be found at the Roman Church Inn. Is this just a coincidence? What does a pine cone have to do with the worship of the true God? Absolutely nothing. Now, let's talk about the hollyhocks and the rest. The leftover clippings from the evergreen trees were used to make wreaths to decorate the homes of the pagans. Holly was hung in windows and throughout the home to ward off witches and evil spirits. Holly was associated with males and considered to bring men good luck. Now, a wreath was usually formed in a circle, and the circle, often used in their idolatrous fertility ceremonies, was to represent life, the female sex organ, and their fertility goddess, as well as their goddess of spring. And the placing of a candle in the corner center of the wreath represented the sex act itself, as well as honoring Nimrod, who, as we learned in the last sermon, was worshipped with fire. And that brings us down to something else. How about kissing under the mistletoe? Did you know Celtic and Teutonic people had long considered mistletoe to have magic powers? In fact, as we see here, there's a picture of them, the big gathering of all the mistletoe. It was said to have the ability to heal wounds, increase fertility. The Celts offered it to their gods in prayer and hung mistletoe in their homes in order to ward off the evil spirits. It was the berries of this plant that really were supposed to contain all of this power. The Druids also considered the mistletoe to be a sacred plant and believed it had miraculous properties which could cure illnesses, serve as an antidote against poison, ensure fertility, and protect against the ill effects of witchcraft. Moreover, whenever enemies were under the mistletoe in the fort, they had to lay down their arms and observe a truce until the next day. And from this has seemingly become the ancient custom of hanging a ball of mistletoe from the ceiling and exchanging kisses under it as a sign of friendship and goodwill. Now there is another version. However, it says this custom, which was widespread among Anglo-Saxons, was connected to the legend of Freya, goddess of love, beauty, and fertility. According to the legend, a man had to kiss any young girl who, without realizing it, found herself accidentally under a sprig of mistletoe hanging from the ceiling. The truth is, that the mistletoe is actually a parasite plant which lives and feeds off the host plant. It literally sucks the life out of the toad. So we see here kissing under mistletoe is just another pagan fertility ritual. That's all. So enough about this. Let's talk now about Easter. Because we'll see that the same manner as Christmas, the observance of Easter is nothing more. Is not a memorial of Christ's death and resurrection, but it is taken directly from paganism. Easter coincides with the spring equinox, when the days and the nights are of equal length. According to the Bible, Jesus' death and resurrection occurred during the time of the Passover, which was celebrated on the first full moon following the vernal or spring equinox. This soon led to the pagan Christmas celebrating Easter. Christians celebrating Easter on different days at the end of the 2nd century. Some churches now celebrated Easter on the day of the Passover, while others celebrated it on the following Sunday. Now, in 325 CE, the Council of the Nicaea established that Easter would be held on the first Sunday after the first full moon, occurring on or after the vernal equinox. From that point forward, the Easter date depended on the following church's approximation of March 21st for the vernal equinox. Easter is delayed by 1 week in the full moon and is on Sunday, which decreases the chances of the falling on the same day as the Passover. Now, a little side. BC, which stands for before Christ, is used to date events before the birth of Jesus. And AD is the abbreviation for the Latin phrase Anno Domini, which means the year of our Lord, and is used for dates after Jesus' birth. The system of dating has been used for many years by Western archaeologists. Today, however, with a growing understanding that not all archaeologists are Christians, some archaeologists prefer to use the term before the Common Era, BCE, and the Common Era, CE, which are exactly the same as BC and AD, but there's nothing to do with Christianity. And this is just another example of how our world is trying its best to do away with anything pertaining to Christ or anything pertaining to God. The Easter celebration name comes from the name of the adulterous pagan goddess Ashtar, also known as Astarte, and was pronounced Easter. These are just other names for Semiramis. The practices and ideas associated with Easter observance, the Easter bunny, the eggs, the hot cross buns, the Sunday worship service, did you know all come from paganism and are symbols of idolatrous sex worship condemned by God. Let's look at this picture for a moment. We see that we're talking about the same goddess here. The same goddess, she just has Semiramis, but she has different names depending on what country or what language you're using. But it's all Semiramis. Okay, now, how about the 40 days of Lent? You know, unlike New Year's, Christmas, Halloween, St. Valentine's Day, and other pagan holidays that are pretty well celebrated by the secular, non-religious world, the Lenten season is observed and dedicated by dedicated religious believers. From Ash Wednesday to Easter, many solemnly mark their foreheads with ash, as you see here, hence the name Ash Wednesday. Fasting or abstaining from certain foods or physical pleasures imitate Jesus Christ's 40-day fast in the wilderness, as seen in Matthew 4, verses 1 through 2. The 40 days counted backward from Easter does not include Sunday, but only weekdays. This is how the beginning of Lent also starts on a Wednesday. During this period, some people give up smoking. Others give up chewing gum. Others give up overeating or cursing. and people vow to give up anything as long as it prepares them for Easter. Now, people who observe Lent may be very religious, very dedicated, and very sincere. But believe me, they are sincerely wrong. Lent was not observed by any of the first century church. It was first addressed by the church at Rome during the Council of Nicaea in AD 325, when Emperor Constantine officially recognized that church as the Roman Empire state religion, and any other foreign form of Christianity that held the doctrines contrary to the Roman Church was considered as an enemy of the state. When I was over, I remember going to one of those arenas where the Christians were actually thrown to the line because of it. Now, coming from the Anglo-Saxon, Lenten meaning spring, Lent originated in the ancient Babylonian mystery religion. The 40 days abstinence of Lent was directly borrowed from the worshippers of the Babylonian goddess Semiramis. Among the pagans, this Lent seems to have been a crucial introduction to the great annual festival in commemoration of the death and resurrection of Tammuz. Tammuz was the false Messiah of the Babylonians, a satanic counterfeit of Jesus Christ. The Feast of Tammuz was usually celebrated in June, also called the month of Tammuz. And remember, Tammuz was represented by a golden calf. Lent was held 40 days before the feast. The people have no idea about it. And was celebrated by alternate weeping and rejoicing. And this is why Lent means spring. It took place from spring to early summer. Now, the Bible actually records ancient Judah worshiping this false Messiah. Let's read Ezekiel 8:14. And he brought me to the opening of the gate of the Lord's house, towards the north. Make note of that. And behold, a woman were sitting there weeping for Tammuz. This was a great abomination in God's eyes. They were weeping because Tammuz had been killed by a wild boar. And this explains why. The traditional meat served for Easter dinner is what? It's ham. And this is why. It's celebration of Tammuz. Now, just think about another thing in this verse. It was north. North is where Santa lives. North Pole. Another coincidence? I definitely don't think so. And then we thought about the golden calf. You know, when Moses was on the mountain receiving the Ten Commandments, what did Aaron make for the children of Israel to worship? No. It was a golden calf. So this ancient worship of Tammuz was very well known, even during the time of Moses. It came from Egypt or ancient Babylon. Where did the Israelis flee from? The Israelites fled from Egypt, didn't they? No wonder they wanted to go back to their old custom, worshiping a golden calf or Tammuz. It was something they had been doing all of their lives. No wonder God was angry with them for turning back to his own heathen practices, especially after he had mercifully rescued them from the Egyptian slavery. But however, this Babylonian worship is still taking place today. Only now we call it Christian. So, why did the church at Rome institute such a pagan holiday? To reconcile the pagans to the minimal Christianity. Rome pursuing its usual policy to take measures to get Christians and pagan festivals combined. And by complicated but skillful adjustment of the calendar, it was no difficult matter because at that time the Christianity had really slipped back into paganism. So it was not that hard to get them to agree. The Roman Church replaced Passover with Easter, moving the pagan Feast of Tammuz to early spring, Christianizing, and of course Lent moved with it. Now here's something else I don't think a lot about. How did they ever come up with rabbits in colored Easter eggs? Ever think about that? As the legend goes, Semiramis died and went to heaven where her husband, Nimrod, or Baal, had gone earlier. But you see, he was not ready to receive her and sent her back to earth as an egg. The first thing she did when she arrived back on earth was turn a bird into an egg-laying rabbit. Now this, believing this legend was easy for the pagans at that time, because you see, they already had been worshiping the egg as a symbol of fertility. And because the rabbit is very prolific, it was also used as a fertility symbol. Thus, the rabbit that lays eggs. Let's look at that. Note that. The coloring of the Easter egg. Now listen to this. The coloring of the Easter egg came from the sunrise services, where the pagan priest would impregnate young virgins on the altar. Can you imagine this stuff? Then he would sacrifice the 3-month-old babies from the previous year's service. This is 3 months old baby. 12 months, right? Between these services. 9 months of pregnancy puts babies at 3 months. After this slaughter, the priest would take the Easter eggs and dip them into the blood of the babies. Thus, red became the dominant Easter egg color. And even at the White House today, at the annual Easter egg hunt, red is the dominant color. In fact, I can guarantee no one out there knows why. It's the dominant color. No wonder God hates these pagan idolatrous festivals. No wonder he gets so angry when Christians try to Christianize these Christian pagan festivals of Christmas and Easter. No wonder he is ready to punish our nation, ready to punish this world. Now, something else to think about. How about the hot cross buns? Let's read Jeremiah 7, verses 16 through 18. Verse 16. Therefore, do not pray for these people, nor lift up cry or prayer for them, nor make intercessions to me, for I will not hear you. Verse 17. Do you not see what they do in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem? Verse 18. The children gather wood in the fathers kindle a fire, and the women knead dough to make cakes to the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings to other gods, that they may provoke me to anger. This describes the making of hot cross buns in honor of Semiramis. The word translated cake is kavan, meaning bun. And this is also described in Jeremiah 44, verses 17 through 19 and verse 25. And for the sake of time, I just want to read verse 19. And when we burned incense to the Queen of heaven and poured out drink offerings to her, did we make our cakes to worship her and pour our drink offering to her without our men? Is this just another coincidence? Mary is called Queen of Heaven by the Roman Church. Okay, now how about Sunday sunrise service? For a description of the Easter Sunday sunrise service, let's read Ezekiel 8, verse 16. And he brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house. And behold, at the opening of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men with their backs toward the temple of the Lord and their faces towards the east. And they worshiped the sun toward the east. No wonder God was so angry with the children of Israel. These idolatrous ceremonies were actually taking place right at his temple. And look today, they still worshiping the sun. Now, this is not enough. There's all sorts of other satanic symbols. Let's look at this. How about the serpent crosser? Did you know a crosser is a staff or rod and is used as a symbol of power? The serpent crosser was found on drawings and artifacts of ancient pagan gods and goddesses. It is the same serpent crosser that is used in the Roman Church today. The Bible pictures Satan as a serpent, a dragon, an evil reptile. Why would any religious organization choose to use these evil symbols unless it is for the purpose of worshiping Satan? Then there's the trident. The trident manifests itself in several forms. This ancient symbol is often called the devil's pitchfork. It is a three-pronged rod, like the one often being seen used by Neptune, the god of the sea, as well as other pagan gods and goddesses. And notice this now. Notice the snake on his arm. Notice the three prongs. And those three prongs at that time represented the trinity of the pagan trinity of Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tiamat. Now, it can also be manifested as a satanic hand gesture. Look at this. With the fingers held like the pitchfork of Neptune. Once we know what these gestures mean, we will be more aware of what others are doing around us. Knowledge brings to light. And look at who is using these gestures. Obama, Bush, and the others you will recognize. And now, let's talk about the solar wheel or cross at sunrise. You know, the solar cross is probably the oldest religious symbol in the world, appearing in Asian, American, European, and Indian religious art forms since the dawn of history. Composed of an equal armed cross with a circle that represents the solar calendar. The movement of the sun, marked by the solstice. Sometimes the equinoxes are marked as well, giving an 8-armed wheel. Now the sun cross, in its most simplified form, is known in Northern Europe as Odin's cross, after the chief god of the Norse pantheon. The word cross itself comes from the Old Norse word for the symbol cross. The Celtic cross is a symbol of the Celtic Christian church, as you see here, borrowed from the pre-Christian Celtic pagan emblem of the sun god. Just notice the picture. You know, all sun gods from every nation have different names, but they can all be traced back to the original sun god, Baal, who is known as Nimrod. To learn more about these customs, all you have to do is read an encyclopedia or the book, The Two Babylons, by Alexander Hislop. All of this was part of the Babylonian mystery religion, started by Nimrod and his wicked wife, Semiramis. You know, human individuals and the religious denominations of this world have devised many wrong ways of worshiping Almighty God. And Jesus warned the people of his day against their human religious traditions. Let's read this in Mark, verses 7 through 8. Verse 7. But in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. Verse 8. For leaving the commandment of God, you hold fast the traditions of men, such as the washing of pots and cups, and you practice many other things like this. So we see both Christmas and Easter, as well as other worldly, traditional, religious holidays, give a false picture of Almighty God and His plan. And because of our limited time today, I can only give a brief summary of these concepts. For instance, Christmas, what is this picture? Christmas pictures a little Lord Jesus, held in His mother's arms, away in a manger someplace. The emphasis is in a purely sentimental attachment to a helpless baby boy. The trading of presents back and forth between friends and relatives. The symbol of Santa Claus for the unsuspecting children in time of human joy and revelry hide the true meaning of Christ, His laws, His ways, and His soon coming government on this earth. All are forgotten in what? A time of human memory. That's all it is. The same is true of the Easter celebration. The emphasis is on a wimpy, broken, and beaten man who was hung on a cross, who was too fragile to carry his own cross, who died of a broken heart, and then was put in a tomb. And there is absolutely no mention of why Christ was beaten or the type of beating it was. No mention that he died by shedding his blood for our sins at the hand of a Roman soldier's spear. The glory of his resurrection after 3 days and 3 nights in the tomb is expressed and changed to a Friday's crucifixion and Sunday's resurrection. Then there is the pagan celebration of rabbits, laying colored eggs for their children to find. All of this comes from pagan, idolatry, sex worship, and fertility rites. What does any of this have to do with the death and the resurrection of our Savior? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yet people happily celebrate Easter in this way, teaching these idolatrous ideas to their children and grandchildren, generation after generation. All of these heathen celebrations give a false picture of the Father, Christ, His Son, and the whole plan of God, rather than the true picture of Christ sitting at the Father's right hand on a throne in heaven on a sea of glass, His face shining like the sun in power, waiting to return and rule this earth with a rod of iron. Because such humanly devised religious festivals are giving a false picture of Almighty God and Jesus the Christ. This is just another form of idolatry by the worst kind, totally devised by Satan the devil to deceive the people of this world. And look how many millions he is deceiving. Even if you try to teach people in this world about the truth of all these pagan holidays and symbols, the people don't care what God wants. Today, they just want God their way of reminding the king. There are some that might say that they don't care what these old pagan symbols represented. They don't represent that to them. You know what? It doesn't matter what we think. It only matters what God thinks. Okay? That's what we have to be concerned with. Not what we think. What does God think? You know, we might be keeping these pagan holidays and symbols sincerely, because it still amounts to disobedience of God. God says that we love Him. If we love Him, we must obey His commandments. John 14:15. If you love me, keep the commandments, namely my commandments. What does the second commandment say? Exodus 20, verses 4 through 6. You shall not make for yourself any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in water under the sea. You shall not bow yourself down to them or serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of those who hate, but showing mercy to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. So the question is, how do we live by this second commandment? We must worship God with a humble and willing heart. That's what God's looking. He's looking at our heart. And we can fake out the people, but we can't fake God. God knows our heart. We must study God's word and be willing to be corrected by it. We must pray often to God so we can come to know and love Him as our Father. And then we must be willing to be guided by the Spirit. If we do all of these things and avoid doing anything that comes from the Babylonian mystery religion, then we will be able to worship the great sovereign ruler of this universe and our personal, loving, caring Father in heaven, His way, not ours.
Let me say a couple of words. I want to talk to you again, but I feel that this program and the first program that you made should be shown together. Jay, have you done the first program that he did?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was combined with another one with the Feast of Tabernacles.
You already saw it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's already been combined with Feast of Tabernacles, so this is just a follow-up.
Is it possible to move something and put this inside so that people can see, watch both?
He said right at the beginning that it's a continuation of it,
Okay, well, that doesn't answer
so
the
people will
question.
know.
You can do that.
Manny, the other one has already been combined with Tabernacles. He said at the beginning of his sermon that this was a continuation of his other sermon. So if people have watched the other one, they'll know that this is. And if they haven't, they'll go back to the Tabernacles and look. You don't want to play the sermon twice. It's already online.
Well, that's okay. But this is not online.
This isn't yet, no.
You couldn't get it out of there and put the two together.
Why?
Because the two together are
They're not together though. This is 3 weeks later.
But the two together make a lesson. It's a unit.
Okay, man, apparently you don't
If
get
you can
it.
do it, if you can do it, fine. If you cannot do it, fine too.
It doesn't make any sense to do it.
Okay? He said he can do it.
You move it to the last,
The last.
sorry, and then you'll have the, closing
Yeah.
prayer. Okay,
96.
96. If everyone will rise, turn to page 96.
Take a read up.
I agree with you. Yeah, they should listen.
Page 96, by the waters of Babylon. Okay, now we'll have Manny with the closing prayer.
These two sermons that you gave are awesome. Of course, I have read the book you read, but I have never heard a minister put them together. So, for some of us who have been in church for a long time, you're not teaching us anything new. But what you're doing, and what I hope they will do, is to put it to the public. And they don't know anything. The reason they're doing all the stupidity they're doing is that they don't know. There's a scripture that says, and you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Most beautiful scripture there. Okay? Bow your heads. Eternal Father in heaven, we thank you for this message, and we thank you for the few people that are here. We thank you, Father, for allowing us, some of us for a long time, to know your truth and to be free. Father, some of us, especially those who have been in the church for a long time, don't realize the time we have been free. You made me free a long time ago. And it's a blessing to be able to put your truth to the public. on YouTube so that they will be made free too, those that you're going to call. Thank you for this group, thank you for this church, thank you for the blessing that you have given Cord to be able to speak well and to organize things. I know that it's both, they're a team, thank you for that wonderful team, Cord and his wife, and we thank you in the name of your Son, Jesus the Messiah. Amen. A team is a team. You two work together like a